First of all, hallelujah!
It is 4th and 26. McNabb is back. He's looking. He is firing, and it is caught by Freddie Mitchell.
And Lazardic fumbles the football. It's picked up by Herman Edwards. 15, 10, 9, touchdown Eagles. I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Jackson takes it at the 35. Picks it up. Looks for running room. He's at the 40. He's at the 45. Midfield. Oh! He's going to go! The short back. Oh! I don't care if he's short. He's running around. I mean, at the end zone. And there's no time. And the Eagles win.
Bring it back again.
He steps up his head and falls forward. And he fumbles the football and the Eagles have it. And it's recovered.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Let me get a hell yeah! E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, birds, fans of all ages. Welcome back to another episode of Sundays for the Birds, a proud production of Old City Sports Network. For those of you out there, you big sports fans, you go check out all the other wonderful shows and articles that can be found on oldcitysportsnetwork.com. That's oldcitysports.com. Check out all the other wonderful shows there. I'm the mayor of John Street. You already know what it is. And I am joined by only one of my amazing co-hosts. Jake Long is out at the Wells Fargo Center, Extreme Rules, WWE pay-per-view. He's got his kid down there. So, shout out to him out there making memories with his son there. But I do have one Kyle Not So Sharpe with me. Kyle, how you doing this fine evening here, buddy?
I'm good. Ready to talk some football. Watch a little baseball later. Phillies, looked good the other day. Well, didn't look good till the 9th, but, end results all that matter. So,
Yes, sir.
We're ready to didn't dive into this.
For sure. And with the Phillies on a playoff heater, make sure you check out the Fan Lot, another great show here on Old City Sports Network. Shout out to the Fan Lot. All right, guys, let's just dive right into it here. So we're going to be previewing tomorrow's game. But before we do, I do want to start it off with something a little lighthearted. I have a clip for you here from the Pat McAfee Show. A few days ago, our very own head coach, Nick Sirianni, joined the Pat McAfee Show. And if you guys do not watch the Pat McAfee Show, basically they have a guy named Ty Schmidt. Ty does a pretty funny, pretty spot-on impression of Nick Sirianni. And so they had this awesome little interaction, and I will show that to you now.
And I don't know how often this has happened to you, but there's another coach that wants to talk to you. Coach Sirianni, your question for Coach Sirianni.
Coach, it's great to finally be able to talk to you. I feel like I know you just as good as I know myself. We've talked a lot about dog mentality today. I want to tell you what dog mentality means to me, okay? It's, having more bite than you have bark. It's being ferocious and vicious. It's playing in a parking lot like Vince Papale if necessary. Doing all these little things we need to do to prepare to win a game. But my question for you is, do you know right away if a guy has dog mentality? And if he doesn't have dog mentality, is there anything you can do to kind of bring that dog mentality out of him?
Dog mentality is a prerequisite of getting on this football team. So we try like crazy to figure out the toughness, the mental toughness, the physical toughness that a guy has in the draft process or in the free agency process. And so we're working like crazy. That mean everybody have it? No. And if they don't, you just got to get them around Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson and Brandon Graham for a minute, and they'll turn them into some dogs.
Love hearing that. Speaking of the draft process, I know one of the things we really love to do to kind of test the guy's competitive juices is maybe have him make a couple shots on a mini basketball hoop or play Rochambeau or rock, paper, scissors. I have a proposition for you. Maybe give away some money to the fans of the show. Do you maybe want to play best 2 out of 3, rock, paper, scissors, coach versus coach? If you win, we will give $500 to 15 people who retweet this video. If I win, we'll give 10 people $500 who retweet this video, as long as they put their Cash App in the tweet as well.
I want to play no matter what because I want to compete. But you're telling me I don't have to donate shit.
You don't have to donate shit. We will be donating everything.
Yeah, you don't have to donate a single thing. It'll all be us. Now listen, this isn't. You're not shooting on the third hit. No,
it's rock, paper, scissors, and then we're shooting that, John.
So rock, paper, scissors. We say shoot or we just throw it?
Your call, coach. Would you like to say shoot?
Can we say shoot? That's how I'm used to.
We'll say shoot.
That's how you play in Western. That's how Western New York. That's how you do it. Right outside of Erie, Pennsylvania. That's how you do it.
Okay. Before best place to get cheesesteak in Philadelphia before we start.
Ooh, I'm gonna sound like a tourist.
Don't say Gino's your pass, coach. Don't say Gino's your pass.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the people at the cafeteria right here. James and his crew in the cafeteria. They make a damn good cheesesteak.
That's dog mentality. Try D'Alessandro's if you haven't tried it. Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh,
Scissors. Yeah, the same person.
Okay.
We both threw scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, one rock.
Okay.
Damn it. All right.
Rock.
So you guys saw that there. Video goes on for a little longer, but just very funny interaction there between Ty Schmidt and Coach Sirianni. So wanted to start something off a little lighthearted, little funny. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Shout out to Pat McAfee Show. Giving you guys all the credit in the world. We are not trying to steal your shit. We're not trying to clip you. All right. So let's dive into it here, Kyle. Let's start talking about this game here. Eagles Cardinals Sunday. Is that a 4 o'clock? 4:30? Can't remember off the top of my head.
4:30. It's all the same to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second wing of games.
Absolutely. So on the road here, I just kind of like, what's something that stands out, something you're going to be looking for here in this game tomorrow?
So I like the tight ends, Goddard and Zach Ertz. Just interesting. Zach Ertz is a longtime Eagle. He's coming back. Goddard was kind of his replacement. So that's kind of something to look out for. But overall, I think, again, the Eagles should roll in this one, right? I mean, the Cardinals just don't really scare you anywhere. They got some players, but it's just I'm not a big Kyler guy. I think he's really overrated. How do you feel about Kyler and the threat that he portrays?
So I think Kyler, while he has the potential to be a good to great NFL quarterback, he hasn't shown us that this year. He is far from the MVP candidate that we saw in the beginning half of last year. Now, who knows? Maybe this is a sign of things to come. Maybe the Cardinals have flipped the switch, and maybe they're not a first half team anymore. Maybe now they're a second half of the year team, and they might actually win a playoff game.
It's interesting you brought up first to second half, because if you look at the Cardinals' first and second half splits, it is ridiculous this year. They don't do anything in the first half, and that's something the Eagles are going to have to continue to do. Last week they fell down 14-0 early, but it wasn't really a big deal. Maybe the first time they faced adversity this year, but that's something that you can't do this week. You got to get out to an early lead, especially versus a team that struggled so much in the first half of the games.
And we mentioned first half success there. Right now, it's going to be a huge key to the game, and we'll get to that in a bit here with our keys to the game segment. But I do want to point out that your team, your town, your Philadelphia Eagles are leading the league in second quarter points this year. The Eagles have actually scored more points this year in the second quarter alone. I think it's something like 10 other teams have scored all season.
Oh, wow.
Which is like kind of crazy, right? So they've done really well here in first halves of games recently. I'm interested to see if the Eagles can find a little bit of second half success. We've talked about it here before. The offense has really been struggling in the second half of games. It seems that that other teams are coming in and they're making the adjustments necessary to kind of slow us down and keep us out of the end zone in the second half of games. So I'm interested to see if they can kind of get that offense rolling a little bit in the second half.
Do you think that's something the Eagles are doing or other teams are making adjustments? Because I'm not so sure that the Eagles are kind of just playing it real vanilla, trying to get out of there. I mean, that's kind of the way that I've kind of taken it the last couple of weeks is I don't really think anybody's throwing anything at them where it's like they're like boxed and they can't do a whole lot. I think it's just kind of that they've been in some big leads and they're kind of milking it, so to say.
No, I'll agree to that. I think there's certainly elements of that. What concerns me is, one of these times you're going to play a team and you're going to start to dial it back because you have a big lead coming into the second half. And all of a sudden they're going to wake up. They're going to start to catch up. And you've taken the third quarter off. Now all of a sudden, fourth quarter, 1-score game, you got to wake back up. You got to flip that switch. And it's not as easy, right? It's not a light switch. I mean, this is NFL football. This is the number one league in the universe. You're not going to be able to just flip the switch that easily and turn it on, and all of a sudden hang 20 in the fourth.
Right, absolutely. I agree with that. It's just I don't know, something that I've kind of watched, and I don't necessarily know if it's anything the defense are adjusting at them. And let's be honest, the Cardinals are a terrible defense. Like they got some names out there. Isaiah Simmons was a high pick. They got J.J. Watt until he gets hurt again and misses time. But Byron Murphy's in the secondary. He was supposed to be a pretty decent corner. Like they got names.
They also lost Chandler Jones, though.
They lost Chandler Jones. Yeah. How can I forget Budda Baker, one of the better safeties in the league? But they don't do anything great on defense, really. Like they run a lot of vanilla schemes, some soft coverage. The offense should have no problem at all. Do whatever they want, running the ball, throwing the ball, getting it to Goddard, Brown, whoever. The defense for Arizona is like the biggest thing. Is they've yet to make a splash play this year. Where the Eagles have had some big time plays from guys rushing the passers, a couple of big picks by Bradbury and what have you. Arizona just doesn't offer that at all, and that's something if they're going to want to compete with the Eagles and want to keep pace, they're going to have to make a couple splash plays on defense at some point in the game.
No, I agree. So you mentioned their defense there and how they kind of play a little bit of a soft vanilla kind of a scheme. I think you're seeing that across the league. There's a lot of quarters coverage, a lot of shell coverage.
Yeah.
Guys playing off, not as much press coverage. I think a lot of that has to do with the explosive offenses that are in the league today. I also think that, because you can't get as physical with the receivers as you could in years past, the illegal contact downfield is called more often, defensive holding, defensive pass interference. These are all calls that happen routinely every week. It's that much harder to play press coverage unless you're an elite corner. So I think that's part of why you're seeing a lot of teams across the league play these kind of softer coverages. And fortunately, we've seen this year that Jalen Hurts can and will pick those types of defenses apart. We saw it against the Vikings. And I think, as long as the line holds up, they keep them clean, they give them time, and the receivers are able to kind of settle in and, sit down in the spots in between some of those zones. I see no reason why the Eagles offense can't be successful against this soft Cardinals defense.
100%. They should absolutely be successful. And you brought up the offensive line. It looks like our boy Jordan Mailata is going to miss a game. Jack Driscoll is going to step in there again. Played great last week, but he's going to have to keep that up, and keep the quarterback upright and, not let JJ get to him or anything like that.
Yeah, you know what? I have all the confidence in the world in Jack, particularly because of who he's got coaching him up, right? I mentioned it last week. Jeff Stoutland is the best offensive line coach in the league. And you see it time and time again. These guys step up when their number's called. Sua Opeta, great game last week as well when his number got called. So I have all the confidence in the world, especially with having a full week to prepare as the starter. I think Stout's going to have these guys ready to go.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that at all. It's just, nothing against Jack Driscoll, but there's a reason you're a backup and not a starter. But like I said, he held his own. I don't think it'll be an issue. The bigger injury to keep an eye out for is Jake Elliott, who's going to miss a game. Kicking's already really suspect in this league. So anytime you got a guy that's coming up, never kicked before in the league, definitely something to keep an eye out. Definitely wouldn't be surprised to see a missed kicker or two at all.
Yeah, hopefully we can get in the end zone, right? And hopefully this guy's at least good enough that he can kick some extra points and some chip shot field goals. Clearly, I'm not going to trust this guy if it comes down to a big field goal at the end. I'm not expecting any kind of Adam Vinatieri type stuff here. Then again, we didn't know who Jake Elliott was either until he came in out of nowhere in his in his Eagles debut against the Giants and hit that 61-yard game winner.
Touche.
So who knows? Heroes are made every day.
I hear you on that, but we don't see kickers coming out of the woodworks a lot. And I don't know about you, but I feel like I was just saying this the other day, watching football, it's almost like I trust a kicker to make a 55 to 60-yarder more than I trust them to make an extra point at this stage in football. It's just crazy. Like, they come on the end of the game, and it's like they be hitting these crazy long field goals and the hassle kind of stuff. And then they got these chip shots, and they miss them. And I just don't understand it at all, man.
I wonder if it's got to do with and I don't know. I'm not an NFL kicker, but I wonder if it's got anything to do with the setting, right? The timing. The offense just put up points. You're feeling good. You're coming out. It's a shorty. We got this. I was hitting them from 60 in warm-ups, whatever, versus games on the line. We need points here. Offense just stalled. If I miss this, the other team has great field position. I need to nail this.
Maybe, but that just feels like such a lazy and like it's just easy excuse. It's not like they're a running back where, they got blitz pickup and they got, running the ball. They got to be good at catching the ball. They're not quarterback. They don't have multiple responsibilities. Their one job is to kick the ball through the fucking uprights, and they struggle so much at it. But I
wonder what it is. Something tells me it is something psychological. Maybe we can get a sports psychologist on, and we'll talk about this maybe in the off season.
Sports.
I think that'd be a good one.
That sounds like a good off season pod right there.
I think so. Anything else standing out to you? Any kind of matchups that you're looking forward to?
Matchups? Nah, I mean, for the most part, look, Kyler, you want to keep him in the pocket. He's going to run around. He's going to do his thing. But the more you can keep him in the pocket, and no quarterback reacts good to pressure, but Kyler specifically does not act good to pressure in his face. He does not want to get hit. He's quick to bail out. So, again, that we've talked about that the last couple weeks. But getting pressure from the front four, mixing it up, getting in the quarterback's face is going to be a big thing to watch out for. And, the secondary, once again, Marquis Brown's having a really good year. DeAndre Hopkins has been suspended the first couple games of the year. Marquis Brown, they traded for a first-round pick in the offseason. Keep him in check. Don't let him get any big plays. Darius Slay and Bradbury have been balling all year. So that's something just to maybe watch for potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested to see, if they're able to limit Hollywood Brown also. Now, real quick, what do you think the recipe is to keep Kyler in the pocket, and how do you slow him down if he is able to break the pocket?
So it's so hard to these guys that are scramble gods, Hurts, Murray, Lamar, Allen, Mahomes, whatever. It's so hard to contain them to the fullest. But I think the way to limit them is really your edge rushers really got to get wide and make these guys step up in the pocket. Yes, you can step up and run, but that's a lot harder than when they can just at free will run outside the tackle box and go anywhere they please. So I don't want them to dedicate a spy on the field, because then you're dedicating one less guy in the back end, and then it's going to be easier for the quarterback to make plays that way. But
I agree. And usually when you're spying a quarterback, you're using a linebacker. And while we are more athletic than we have been in years past at the linebacker position. Yeah, I just don't know if there's anybody there that can keep up with them.
No, I agree with that. I mean, there's very few linebackers that can keep up with a guy like Kyler Murray. He's going to do it a couple times. He always does. I think the big thing, though, is just like I said, those edge rushers really got to get wide and make him step up in the box.
So you're thinking more like a wide 9 technique on your DNs.
Yes, sir. I think that'd be a very good technique. Again, we talked
wide 9, almost like a contain with like some pressure up the middle.
Yeah, you've talked about stunts before and how you like mixing up the 4-man rush. That's something maybe this week not so much as much. Typically when they stunt, they don't get as wide. So that's something to keep an eye out for and really try to contain Murray. Because he does not, when he's in the pocket, he does not do good just reading the defense. I mean, if he's not running the ball, he's just checking down. He doesn't like to sit in the pocket long and do anything like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Another matchup I'm kind of looking forward to. I want to see what our receivers are able to do here, right? We haven't really seen. I don't want to say we haven't seen it, but like I keep waiting for AJ Brown to break off one of these slants for like an 80-yard touchdown. He's so dangerous in the open field, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that first touchdown with 30, 40 yards after the catch.
Yeah, I mean he had a big week 1, 10 grabs, 150 plus yards, but he hasn't had that big long touchdown like you say.
Right. Well, the big long play that he makes, right? He had that one long touchdown, but that was obviously a great route, but it was a great throw. It was a long ball down the field.
You're talking all after the catch, one where it's all him. No, it's not the quarterback's not doing nothing. He's just being a special player.
Exactly. And maybe that's just me being spoiled by our new toys at wide receiver. I don't know.
No, I mean, maybe not this week, but at some point this year, I mean, he's going to do it a couple of times. He always does. Another guy is Quez Watkins. I know he's the 4th receiving option by far, but Sirianni talked about it a little bit after the game last week, maybe trying to get him a couple touches, what have you. I wouldn't be surprised to have him see a big play at some point in this week.
Even if you want to use him on some jet sweep action just to get the ball in his hands, he's such a fast guy. I can only imagine how he would be, on a jet sweep like that. Kind of everything that we envisioned Rager could do, which obviously he couldn't. I kind of see Quez able to kind of fill that type of role. The jet sweeps, the wide receiver screens, and the deep ball, right? He's one of the fastest players in the league. I'm really interested to see how they get that speed involved. But something I'm really looking forward to is them getting Goddard more involved. I've been asking for it. I think with the Cardinals playing this shell coverage and this quarters coverage, I think it's going to be a prime opportunity for Goddard. Now, I will say this. I think we may have some unrealistic expectations for Goddard, only because of the way he's used. Right. So we never asked Zach Ertz to block. 1, he wasn't a great blocker, and 2, we just never really asked him to block much. So I think we're kind of putting Goddard in our minds as, hey, this is our next Zach Ertz. This is a guy that's going to be a huge part of our offense. But we run a lot of RPOs, and in a lot of these plays, they're keeping Goddard in as a blocker until it goes past, and then it's kind of delayed, right? The route doesn't have a chance to really develop. It's only going to be there if it's there right away. That's why you kind of see him more in like the screen game and stuff like that. But I'm really interested to see if they can get him a little bit more involved in the offense. But again, I am acknowledging that, because he is a good blocker and he's willing to block, that they're going to use him in that fashion. And I get it, but it's a lot of money to be paying an extra tackle.
He's a really good blocker, and that's something he doesn't get enough credit for. And that's something that's not brought up enough when people discuss the tight end position. I get it's an offensive league, and everybody wants to look at receiving numbers. But dude, guys like Andrews and guys like Kelsey, yeah, they put up some gaudy receiving numbers, but they're not in the trenches blocking. And that's something where the Goddard,
right? They're slot receivers. They're not tight ends.
Exactly. And when I think of a true tight end, like throw out just raw receiving numbers. When I think of a true tight end, you have to factor in the blocking, and that's something that Goddard does so well that nobody really looks at and talks about, and that's kind of disappointing. But back to Goddard trying to get involved in the offense. I almost wonder if that's what Sirianni was doing last week, throwing him some of these screens, was trying to get him into the offense, trying to get him going, some manufacturer touches, they call him.
Right. And he's another guy that's dangerous with the ball in his hands. It's not like Ertz had sure hands, and he was a great route runner.
No, yeah.
And you'll see that again this week. Obviously, he's with the Cardinals, right? He was a great route runner, great hands. But the yards after the catch weren't always there. He was always quick to go down.
Yeah.
Easy to tackle. Not shifty. Goddard's shifty. He's powerful. He'll run through you. He'll run around you. Very creative with the ball in his hands.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, interested to see if they can get him a little bit more involved. Let's see. All right, let's throw it over. We'll start discussing our keys to a Birds victory. We're each going to give 3 here. Kyle, I'll let you start it off. Keys to a Birds win. What are your 3 keys here for us tomorrow?
All right, so, I mean, we already touched on it a little bit, but then you got to keep Kyler in the pocket best as possible. I'm not as big as a special teams guy as you are, so I wanted to hit the special teams point here. You know, you're always talking about special teams, but the kicking game, you got a backup kicker in there. It's kicking is like it's such an afterthought, I feel like, and so many times, how many times in a game does it come down to the field goal at the end or a missed extra point somewhere in the middle of the game? So
a punter that can flip the field.
I know you always like to talk about punting, but I feel like kicking is so much more important than punting.
Well, obviously, because it puts up points, right? But think about this. Your drive stalls on the 35-yard line in your own territory. If you have a subpar punter, a guy that hits knuckleballs, you're lucky if the opposing team is starting on their 35. Now, you get a guy with a cannon of a leg, a guy that can place the ball well, put some backspin on it. Now, all of a sudden, they're pinned inside the 5. They're, 10, 15-yard line. All of a sudden, they have a lot longer field. They got to put together a longer drive, more plays, more precision.
I get what you're saying, but I mean, you just referenced a 35-yard punt. There's not a lot of punters that are averaging 35 yards punting. I mean, even a bad punter is averaging 45.
No, that's not a 35-yard punt. You're on your 35 and you're kicking to their 35.
30.
No, I'm not a math guy.
Yeah, whatever.
You get what I'm saying? Throw the numbers out the window. You get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying, but you just talked earlier. How a lot of people play shell defenses to try to prevent the offense. It's such an offensive league, and then the best way to stop a good offense is you try to play a good defense. There's so much more. Like I can't get behind the punter thing, but I do get what you're saying. But back to the key. So yeah, we'll go to the kicker. Got to make his kicks. Contain Kyler in the pocket. And what else do we got for a third key to the game? Keep the momentum rolling. I mean, you're 4-0, keep it 5-0. Got a really easy schedule, and can't stop. Can't give your team any doubt, any oh man, we should have won this game. Blah blah blah. You don't want to let down games. That's a big thing.
I'm with it. All right, 3 keys to the game for me. Number 1, contain Marquis Brown. Look out for him on the deep ball. He's a speedy sumbitch.
Yeah.
Safeties need to be alert, be ready, get ready to help out. Now, I feel more confident in the secondary than I have in a long time. And, we were able to shut down Justin Jefferson. I feel good. But don't let this guy get behind you. You cannot let him get behind you. He will burn you. He will beat you deep. So look out for the double move. Look out for the deep ball from Marquis Brown. Okay. Number 2, no hero ball. No Carson Wentz bullshit. All right. They're going to be playing this soft shell, this quarters coverage. There's going to be guys open. You have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Jalen, I need you to sit back, make your reads, go through the progressions, find the open receiver. and deliver the ball to him. And I mentioned it. Number 3, get Dallas Goddard involved. He's one of the best tight ends in the league for a reason. I heard somewhere recently that in an interview, Tony Gonzalez referred to Dallas Goddard as the best tight end in the league. Now, I think that's high praise, but it's also coming from one of the best tight ends to ever play the game. You need to get this guy involved. You're paying him all this money. And again, he's one of the best. Why would you not throw him the ball more? And I get it. It's a talented offense. There's only so many touches to go around, especially if you want to utilize Jalen and his legs as well. That takes away touches from the receivers and from the running backs as well. But you do have to get these guys involved, and there's ways to do it. We saw it for all those years in Kansas City. You had talented guys on the outside. You had a great tight end in Travis Kelce and some phenomenal running backs. But they found ways to get everybody a healthy amount of touches and keep everybody happy and get everybody involved. We need to do more of that. We need to spread the ball around. And I'll throw one more at you. I want to see Quez Watkins in the same vein get involved a little bit more, as we mentioned earlier. I think if you're able to do those things, I think it's a pretty solid win. Now, I left the defense out because I'll be honest with you, I'm so confident in this defense right now. And it's crazy because if you would have told me this, 4 months ago, I'd be like, what the hell? I'm confident in the defense? What?
4 months ago, 3 weeks ago, after that Detroit game, there was a lot of pessimism.
Now, I did put the caveat out there that I felt he may have been playing a bit more of a vanilla defense because, maybe they were overlooking Detroit a little bit.
You did say that, but I'm just saying, forget 4 months ago, 3 weeks ago, the thought process from Gannon and how the defense looks is a lot different than it looks after a quarter of the games played.
I got you. So real quick, I want to go over the injuries. So for the Eagles, obviously we talked about it. Jake Elliott out. Boston Scott's marked as questionable. Avonte Maddox still out. Patrick Johnson out. And we mentioned it earlier, Jordan Mailata out. Obviously, there's two huge ones there with Maddox still being out. There was a couple of plays last week where the backup got beat. Now, obviously, Trevor Lawrence wasn't able to deliver the ball on all of them, but you never know. Kyler might be able to, So I'm a little bit concerned there. Again, Maddox, one of the best slot corners in the league. And you mentioned it, Mailata. I mean, we just gave him all that money. He's a great left tackle. And I think he has the potential to be one of the best left tackles in the league if he's not already. That left side of the offensive line. It's not often where you feel comfortable running behind the left side on a power run. Typically you go to the right side. The right side's your maulers, the left side is your pass blockers, the more finesse guys. We got power across the line, particularly at that left tackle spot.
Hey, is Darius Slay good? I mean, I know he was in and out of the lineup last week, didn't play too much. I didn't really see him on the injury report, if I remember right. Is there anything going on there? Or is he good to go? What is that?
I haven't heard anything. He's not on the injury report. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing. I know it was a forearm thing. I don't know if maybe it was a deep bruise, contusion, something like that, bone bruise maybe. But obviously, he's good to go here tomorrow. So you can expect another big game from him, I hope.
Yeah, and Arizona's got a couple guys out too. Their starting center, Rodney Hudson, he's been a good player for a long time. I think he's questionable or doubtful. I don't think he's trending towards playing. And then they're starting nose tackle.
He's doubtful.
Well. Yeah, so a couple guys out for them. I mean, it's always a big thing anytime you lose your center, especially a guy like that. He's a little older, but still something maybe to look out for.
Absolutely. Rondell Moore also questionable, so interesting to see if he plays for Arizona and what kind of backup receivers they have out there. You got to figure he's already, you're already going into your depth with D-Hop being out till week 6.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I want to move on to predictions. We'll give our game predictions. How you see the game going? What's your score?
Ooh, I don't think I've really been any close on any one of these this year. I'm gonna go with 27-17 Eagles. Again, I see them rolling. I think Arizona and Kyler Murray are both extremely overrated, and I don't see anything that should give the Eagles a problem here.
I came pretty damn close with my prediction last week, so I'm feeling pretty good rolling into this week. I'm gonna go. Oof. I'm gonna go Eagles 30, Arizona 21.
30-21. All right. So
Eagles
what is
30,
that?
Cardinals
4
20.
touchdowns and a safety, 3 touchdowns, a field goal, and a missed extra point. What are we calling there?
What did I say? 30?
Yeah.
That'd be 4 touchdowns and a field goal.
That would be 31.
31. I told you I'm not a math guy. Plus Jake's not here. I'm running like all the backstage stuff. Plus hosting. Got a lot going on over here, Kyle.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. That's my bad. That's my bad.
All good. All good. I'm glad we got the numbers right. Thank God. Speaking of numbers, let's throw it over to our not so sharp picks of the week.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money,
Dollar, dollar.
All right, not so sharp picks of the week brought to you by our friends at Fanatics. That's right, Old City Sports Network and Sundays for the Birds, now sponsored by Fanatics. Fanatics, everything official. Check them out. Link down in the description of this episode. Righteous Felon Beef Jerky. Use that promo code OCSN for 15% off your entire order of some of the best beef jerky in the Delaware Valley. And last but certainly not least, our friends at Norse Beards, Norse, Norse, beards.com. Use that promo code, again, OCS, for 25% off your entire order from our friends at Norse Beards. Kyle, our namesake of the segment, not so sharp picks of the week. Kyle, not so sharp. What do you got?
So I'm going to ride your Dallas Goddard love. I was thinking the other day, just like, at some point he's got to get involved, and hearing you talk about it. So I'm going to include him in my parlay. I'm going to have him at over 46.5 receiving yards. I'm going to have anytime touchdown for Dallas Goddard. I think the Eagles win, like I talked about earlier. And then I'm going to have James Conner over 19.5 receiving yards. I think the Eagles get out early. Kyler dumps the ball down a lot. He should have 4 to 5 catches. I think 19.5 receiving yards is very reasonable. That's going to be at plus 1,081 for the odds. So if you throw a little $25 on it, it pays you $270.
All right. Real quick before I throw this out there, do you know if Jameis Winston's back for New Orleans?
No, Jameis Winston is doubtful, trending towards not playing. And Michael Thomas is out as well.
All right, so that makes this pick a lot easier. So I'm going to start off. I got the Seahawks money line at a plus 184. We're going to go with the Steelers plus 14. That's just too many points. It's a lot of points right now. Steelers against Buffalo, and then a lot of weird games out there this week.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of weird weeks, a lot of weird games. Looks like we got a pick'em in Washington with Tennessee. I'm going to go to Titans there. Titans money line minus 116. Washington's slight favorite. Slight underdog plus 1.5. I'm just going to go Tennessee Titans on the money line. King Henry is King Henry. I think they're going to be able to run all over that defense. I hope. And honestly, not often you say this about Ryan Tannehill, but I feel like the Titans have the better quarterback in this matchup. That is a 3-leg parlay. We're going to throw a $10 bet on there to win $91. It's plus 909. Before we move on from our not so sharp picks of the week, you got any other bets you're kind of throwing out there you feel strong about?
Any bets I feel strong about? I like all the Tampa overs. When we talk about player props, I think they have a big game. Over on the Brady passing yards, over on Godwin's receiving yards, over on Evans. I got both of them for anytime touchdowns. I just think it's a big time spot for them.
Right on. I haven't really started dialing up my bets yet, so I'll do a deep dive tomorrow morning, probably on my ride into work, and that's when I'll really start putting my bets in. But I'll tell you what, I like Houston to upset the Colts.
I mean, is that really an upset? Wait, the Colts, didn't they just play?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's next week, isn't it?
Oh, man, you looking 2 weeks ahead.
No, I scrolled too far down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really don't focus on my NFL bets till like later tonight, tomorrow morning. I try to focus on college, and then the next day I try to hit the NFL. Speaking of college, North Carolina just won. That hit for me. And OK State won by 10. They got a late touchdown. So it's 2 little W's for me right there.
Right on. All right. You ready to move on to Dog of the Week?
Before we go into Dog of the Week, not betting related, I just wanted to run something by you. I was at a little shindig earlier, and we were talking football. We'll first talking fantasy, then it led into football, and people were talking about the Eagles and how good they look. And one guy said to me, he goes, Jalen Hurts right now is a better quarterback than I think Michael Vick ever was.
Whoa.
And at first it kind of caught me off guard. I was kind of like, wow, like that's definitely a hot take. But the more I thought about it, like Hurts looks good right now, and I don't know. Michael Vick, he was a transcendent player, powerful arm, made some elusive runs, but he was never like a actually like good quarterback that put together continuously good seasons. So it was just something I wanted to throw out there, run by you, get your thoughts on.
I mean, I'd have to look at the numbers, just to kind of get a better idea. Like my memories of Vic kind of start and end with the Eagles. Like, obviously, I know Falcons Vic was huge. I know it was transcendent, and I've seen the highlights and stuff like that. But I didn't watch enough Falcons ball back then to really kind of know Vic in his prime. Obviously, he's polarizing. Obviously, elusive in the run game, scrambling, rocket arm, all of those things. But I kind of see what he's saying. Hurts has shown, at least so far this year, an ability to put together consistent scoring drives, and read defenses and just make the routine plays. Maybe some of the routine plays that Vic struggled with, as much as he had the highlight reel plays. I think when it's all said and done, Vic's highlight reel will always be, more electrifying, more sizzling, if you will. But I tell you what, if Hurts keeps this up, that's certainly a possibility. I'm not ready to go there yet. But as a Hurts guy, as the biggest Hurts guy on this podcast, I love hearing shit like that.
Yeah, and something I forgot to lead into it with is this was a non-Eagles fan talking. This wasn't, a Jalen Hurts truther or an Eagles fan that wants him to be good so bad. This was where did he say from? Some random ass team. I don't know what team it was. I forget, but it was not an Eagles fan or a Jalen Hurts truther. So I thought that was a really interesting thing that he said, and I just wanted to throw that out there.
Like to hear that. All right, let's throw it over. Dog of the week.
Dog.
Dog of the Week brought to you by our friends, our two wonderful beer sponsors, available anywhere fine beverages are sold. Of course, I'm talking Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company. Check them out. Check out the tap room, 909 Ray Avenue, Croydon, Pennsylvania. It's a great time down there. We got to experience it when we were down there for the Eagles-Washington game. And you can experience it also. Head on down there in the Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company. Try all their awesome beers. Try some of the limited edition ones that are being poured there behind the bar. And if you just want to grab a 6-pack to go home, like I said, they're available anywhere fine beverages are sold. Also, shout out our friends at Sterling Pig Brewing Company, right in the heart of Delco. That's sterlingpig.com. Check out their tap room out in Media. All right, guys. Pre-game show, obviously, we don't have a dog for you yet, but this is where we make our predictions. Guys, we are keying in on who we think will be the dog of the game tomorrow. And, just to kind of stretch the segment out a little bit, and since we don't have Jake tonight, Kyle, let's give one offense and one defensive pick for dog of the game.
You want to go first or you want me to go first?
Go for it.
All right, so I think I'm going to take your guy. I'm going to go Dallas Goddard. I put him in my parlay. You talked on him earlier. Yeah, maybe I might have to throw a little extra money on him this week. You might have talked me into him. His big game has got to be coming at some point, right? He had a couple of them last year. I think he had a 2-tutty game. He had some big plays, really good after the catch. So I'm going with him as offensive player of the week or dog of the week for offense. And another thing, every Eagles guy has kind of had their week. I mean, you had Miles Sanders 2-tutty, 100-yard game last week. Brown had the big game. Devontae had the big game. It almost feels like his big game is yet
He's
to come.
due, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to throw him out. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with Javon Hargrave. We're going to keep it interesting. Quiet year, not playing as much. They got the Rook in there. They got Fletcher Cox in there. But I talked about it earlier. Kyler Murray escaping the tackle box. He's got to run up the middle. So if you keep him running up the middle instead of escaping outside the box, look for those big bodies up the middle to swallow him up. Again, always those guys are influential in the run game. So we're going to go Javon Hargrave for dog of the week on the defensive side of the ball.
I like it. All right, I'm going to start off on the defensive side of the ball here. And you mentioned guys that were waiting for their coming out party this season. I'm thinking the safety position. I'm thinking C.J. Gardner-Johnson, new Eagle edition. Murray likes to run. He's fast. If you're gonna pressure him, you need to do it with speed. I'm looking to see maybe some safety blitzes here with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I think he is gonna, impose his will on Kyler Murray in this offense if he's able to, if Jonathan Gannon's able to dial up some pressures. Showcasing his speed there coming off the edge there. Interested to see that. On the offensive side of the ball, I think Miles Sanders stays hot.
Ooh.
Outside of J.J. Watt, there's not really anybody on that line that scares me. And their linebacking core leaves something to be desired also. I just that front nine doesn't scare me. And with Driscoll going in at left tackle, I just feel like they're going to want to run the ball. Run blocking is always easier than pass blocking. I don't know. I just feel like
offensive game plan.
I don't think it impacts it a lot, but I do think in a situation like this where you feel you'll have an advantage in the run game, you couple that with the fact that you have a young left tackle, an inexperienced left tackle in the game. I think that is a perfect recipe for a big night on the ground.
Beautiful. I'm a big Miles guy.
I'm sure you'd like to hear that. And you know what? I'm coming around. You admitted a few weeks ago that you were wrong about Jalen Hurts. I was wrong about Miles Sanders to begin the year. Now, hopefully he keeps this up. Hopefully he stays on the field. So something to think about there. let's throw it into final thoughts here. Quick show for you guys here tonight. Final thoughts brought to you by our friends at Lou Garou Custom Clothing. That's lougarou.co. Make sure you use our friends up north of the border at Lou Garou for all your custom clothing needs. Once again, that's lougarou.co. Let them know Sundays for the Birds and Old City Sports Network sent you. Kyle, final thoughts.
I don't got a whole lot for you guys. I'm gonna watch the Phillies.
Shocker.
A little bit. Hey, yo, I've been doing better on my final thought segments.
You
can't
have
even say nothing.
You have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna revert back to my old self. I don't have a lot for you guys, but it's been a good show, and I always love doing this with y'all.
Right on. Final thoughts. Shout out Jake Long out there making memories with his son. This is time you'll never get back. So enjoy it while you can. Have fun out there tonight with your little buddy. Also, college ball still going on tonight. Plus, Phil's playoff baseball. Roll Tide in prime time and ring that bell for the Phils. And tomorrow, it's all about the Birds, baby. You know what it is. We appreciate everybody rocking with us live here tonight. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube Live. Everybody checking in on the audio side. Make sure to be a friend, tell a friend where they get the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. That, of course, is right here. Sundays for the Birds at Sunday Birds Pod on Twitter, Facebook.com/Sundays for the Birds. And on YouTube, Sundays for the Birds YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody, for rocking with us here live tonight. Go Birds!